And then another team that we expect to start to rattle off some wins. We had the Cleveland Browns at the San Francisco 49ers at the Cleveland Browns. This was a game that gotta call you out a little bit for, because you said you wouldn't pick the 49ers you wouldn't pick against the 49ers because you're not delusional. But the thing is, when people are like, I can't pick this team or against this team because I'm not delusional, the thing with the NFL is any team can win on any given Sunday, especially when the circumstances line up for it. And last episode, I laid out all of those circumstances and they all came to fruition, where it's like 49ers coming off an emotional win versus the Cowboys, where you smack them down on Sunday Night Football. Cleveland Browns are fresh off of a bye. And even though Deshaun Watson didn't play in this game, you still have PJ Walker, who's a comparable quarterback, has had some success versus the Niners. And I'm like, you give Jim Schwartz 2 weeks to prepare. I don't care what offense they're facing. It seems like that's going to be a recipe for disaster, and they'll be able to contain the 49ers a little bit. So it's not like picking a team, like, it doesn't need to be delusional, because anyone can win on any given Sunday, especially in Cleveland on the road after an emotional win against what is now the best team and best defense in football. We saw the Steelers try, absolutely failed. We saw the Cowboys' vaunted defense try, they failed. We saw the Cleveland Browns try. Well, what'd they do? Pre-game, they're like, all right, let's get into a fight. Let's set the tone early. This is a dog pound. Let's get into a dog fight early in the game. You have Trent Williams come in there, start to break up the fight, and then what do? Late hit on McCaffrey, face mask on McCaffrey, and then some of the tackles, it's like the Browns look like, oh, their intention is to cause some pain on the 49ers. I don't want to say they were trying to hurt people, but it definitely didn't seem like they were trying to hold anybody up here. So it seemed like the Browns knew what they were going to do. They're like, let's try and knock this offense around, get into a fight early, get into their head, and McCaffrey ends up leaving the game. Trent Williams ends up leaving the game. Deebo Samuel exits the game. It's like, okay, now we're on an even playing field. And even with those guys losing the game, 49ers still talent-wise should win this game, especially when you're going up against PJ Walker. So credit to the Browns defense, credit to the coach of the year and Jim Schwartz for pulling this one off.
Yeah, I think I should thoroughly apologize to the Browns, because they must have saw the preview. They must have saw my comment, and they said, delusional? Nobody. You're delusional. And what did they do? They went out. When they walked out on the field, they had the 49ers boombox song playing. So they definitely came out with an intention to get in their head, and then they started that fight. Those late calls. This is the first time I've seen a team that will intentionally throw, have a penalty just to get into the head of that other team.
Yeah.
And they roughed up Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy had his worst game as a pro. And that Browns defense, they're on pace. They have the best defense since 1971 as far as yards allowed.
Wow.
So they're definitely on pace to be one of the best defenses. Definitely the best defense this year, but maybe the best of this early 2020s era. They have talent everywhere. And that's what we were talking about when we previewed them before the season, was they have talent everywhere. They got the Myles Garrett's, they have the Owasso Carmoas, we have the Grant Delpits, Denzel Ward, talent everywhere in that defense. Incredible. Great defensive line, great secondary. And we saw that here. They shut them down. And my real hesitation before the game was PJ Walker, because, this is a guy who's a fine quarterback, no disrespect to him, but I thought the 49ers would be able to contain him a little bit more, but the Browns got it done when it mattered. They gave Brock Purdy some fights, and I feel like a team like the Eagles or a team like the Lions, who will face them later in the season, they're going to look back at this Browns game and go, okay, this is how we beat the 49ers. We have to rough them up a little bit and play, I don't think dirty is the right word, but definitely play aggressive and just tough mouth football. And I think a team like the Lions will look at this game, especially a team that has some firepower like the Browns do, and they can take care of business against them. The Browns showed that there is a way to beat the 49ers, and it's playing aggressive.
Yeah. With the Browns, it's like they have the mentality and they have the talent on defense, where they arguably have the best defensive player in the league in Myles Garrett, and then you add just little pieces here and there, like someone like a Zadarius Smith, who is going to be a great outside linebacker just off the blitz, off the edge in this game. So it's like with the Browns, they figured out you have to have the mentality to be able to do this, which is why I could never fully be in love with the Dallas Cowboys, because I don't believe in their coaching, and I don't believe Dan Quinn or Mike McCarthy has the inspiration to be able to inspire a defense to play a game like this, especially versus the San Francisco 49ers. So I was impressed with the Browns, and I do feel like it is more of what the Browns did compared to what the 49ers didn't do, because if you're the 49ers, you beat your rival in the Cowboys, and that was the team that everyone was putting right next to you, and you won that game. You're coming off an emotional win, so I feel like this game did mean more to the Browns than the 49ers. 49ers still had a chance to win the game if their kicker didn't suck. And so it's like for the Browns, we give them all that credit, but for the 49ers, I'm not going to overreact to this, because